Welcome to Wood-Fired Oven How-To, where we explain our process for cooking our favorite recipes in our wood-fired oven. Today we're making garlic naan, followed by tandoori chicken. Tandoori chicken is made by marinating the chicken overnight in yogurt, lemon juice, garlic, fresh ginger, and a blend of spices, with the main spices being red chili powder and Garam Masala. We combine these spices in a bowl and then we'll head over to the stovetop where we heat the spices in 3 tablespoons of oil until they are fragrant. This can take like 2 or 3 minutes. The spices will then form into this kind of gross looking mixture, but the smell is incredible. We then combine 1 cup of whole milk plain yogurt with the juice of 1 lemon and fresh ginger. However, we're in the middle of a pandemic and the store didn't have fresh ginger, so we work with what we have and we use 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. We then combine the yogurt mixture with the spice mixture, mix it together, and then add in 1 teaspoon of salt and 4 cloves of minced garlic. Mix that up and we have our marinade. Before marinating the chicken, we cut slits in the chicken all the way to the bone to allow the marinade to really seep into the chicken. We are using bone-in chicken thighs with the skin on. Tandoori chicken is typically cooked without the skin, but it's easier to just leave the skin on, and I like it that way anyway, so whatever. We also had some boneless chicken breasts available, so we are using those as well. Chicken breasts can be tough for this recipe because they can dry out really easily in the high heat of the oven, but we'll make it work. Place the chicken in a sealed bag with the marinade and give it a good mix. Let out the air from the bag, seal it back up, and place it in the fridge overnight. We'll cook this chicken tomorrow after baking our naan bread. Naan bread is an Indian flatbread consisting of flour, water, salt, yeast, sugar, baking powder, milk, and most importantly, plain whole milk yogurt. We'll top the bread with garlic and cilantro before it is baked and brush it with ghee as it comes out of the oven. To make the dough, we mix 4 cups all-purpose flour with 4 tablespoons of the yogurt, 7 grams of active dry yeast, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 cup of milk. Mix that up until it forms a shaggy mess, and then dump it out onto the table to knead. Kneading this can be a little tough since it's pretty sticky, but just keep kneading, folding the dough over on itself, tossing it around, and eventually it'll get smooth enough to the point where you can more comfortably knead it. Do that for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then ball it up and place it in a bowl. Cover it and let it sit for about 90 minutes. At this point, we can start to fire up our oven, since that also takes about 90 minutes to get to 900 degrees, which is when we'll bake the naan bread. The dough has risen. We flour the top of the dough, flour the countertop, and dump out the dough flour side down. We'll divide this into 12 pieces, so flatten the dough into a disc and divide it in half. Then divide each of those into half again, and then divide each of those into thirds to get 12 total pieces. You can also divide this into 8 equal pieces if you want slightly larger naan. We then pre-shape the dough by shaping each piece of dough into a tight ball. It can take a bit of time, so I had my wife help me out here. Cover with a towel and let them rest for about 15 minutes. Uncover the dough and transfer them to a plate so we can take them out to the oven. The fire has been going now for about 90 minutes and it's around 900 degrees in there. Move all the logs and coals to the side of the oven to clear the floor, and then brush the oven floor to clean off the ash. The oven is now ready for our naan bread. This stage of the oven is what I call the pizza stage. It's the perfect environment for baking pizza, obviously, but it's also great for baking naan bread and pita bread as well. I've seen videos of people shaping naan by just flicking it back and forth from one hand to the other, so I gave it a try.
How do people do this?
I couldn't do it. So I stretch out the dough, I throw it down on the counter, and just flatten it with my hands. I then top the naan with garlic and fresh cilantro, making sure to press them into the dough so they don't fall off during the bake. To bake the naan, we want the bottom of the dough to stick to the floor of the oven. To do this, we place the naan on our metal pizza peel upside down and spray the bottom of the naan with some water. We then confidently flip the naan over onto the oven floor so the garlic and cilantro are facing up. The water on the bottom of the dough helps the dough stick to the oven floor and simulates the environment of a tandoor oven where the naan is baked while being stuck onto the walls inside the tandoor oven. This encourages the individual bubbles to puff up in the naan and prevents the dough from ballooning up like a pita bread. This naan only takes about 60 seconds to bake. When the naan is almost done, I like to hold it up in the top of the dome and the hottest part of the oven where it can exceed temperatures over 1,000 degrees. This adds a bit of char to the edges. After a bit of trial and error, we have found this to be the best method for baking the naan. After the naan is done, immediately top it with ghee while it's still hot. Repeat this process with the rest of the naan and just enjoy watching the dough bubble up. Now that the naan is done, we can start getting the oven ready for our tandoori chicken. The chicken will be grilled over the hot coals of the fire, so we move the logs to the back and gather the coals into the center of the oven. We then place the cast iron Tuscan grill into the center, right over the hot coals. After a couple minutes, the grill is screaming hot. Place the chicken directly on the grill and push it back into the center of the oven. Every 5 minutes or so, we want to rotate the grill because the chicken closest to the doorway will cook a bit slower than the chicken in the back. After about 10 minutes, we want to flip the chicken over, which can be kind of tricky because the chicken sticks to the grill and it's extremely hot in front of the doorway. After about 20 minutes in the oven, our meat thermometer reads 165 degrees and the chicken is ready. The edges of the chicken are wonderfully charred from the high heat of the coals. It has a beautiful color from the marinade, and on the inside, the meat is still super moist. Remove the chicken from the grill and set aside. And there we have beautiful, delicious tandoori chicken cooked in a wood-fired oven. Serve the chicken and naan with some rice and peppers, and we have a wonderful meal. Oh no.
No. That didn't work.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Okay.